Get your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm almost there.
I'm almost there.
I'm almost there. I'm almost there. The fight got bad because I'm almost there. The depression came in because I'm almost there. I feel like I'm about to lose my mind because I'm almost there. The devil's trying to convince me that God is a liar because I'm almost there. And so we got through the Jordan, and then we had to fight some battles, and we're almost there. And through every battle, the Bible says that Caleb is fighting every battle with a different spirit. But the Bible didn't just promise that Caleb would get to the promised land. The Bible said that God said not only would Caleb get to the promised land, watch this, but I would give him land in the promised land. And so the Bible says that Caleb comes up to Joshua when they're in the promised land, supposed to be done fighting. The Bible says that Caleb comes to Joshua and says, and reminds him that Moses said in Numbers, chapter number 14, that God didn't just promise that I would make it here. God said that because I have a different spirit, he was going to give me land in the promise. So you don't understand this. In other words, James, God gave him a double portion. He let him arrive in the promise and then promised him more land in the promise. And so the Bible says that Caleb comes up to Joshua and he says, listen, Moses, before you became leader, as a matter of fact, Joshua, he says, you were there when Moses said that when we get to the promise, that there's some land that belongs to me. And so the Bible says that Joshua said, yeah, I got to give you that land, but hold up, you're going to have to fight for it. Wait a minute. They were supposed to be done fighting because they were in the promised land. It looked like they had fought every battle and they had won every battle. The king's head were still on the spears, letting all the other people know that came to fight the children of Israel that if you're going to fight us, you're going to lose. But here is Caleb in the promise. He's got one more fight. And that's where God told me to park. He said the enemy is not just trying to fight you before the promise. He's trying to fight you because there's always one more fight in the promise. And God told me to tell you, don't let the fight fool you. Let me say it how you say it. Don't let where the fight is fool you. The fight is in the promise. That means that the fight is fixed. And oh God. And so the enemy's trying to convince you that you're going to lose. But remember, Caleb has what? A different spirit. And so Joshua tells Caleb, he says, look here, you're going to have to fight. And that's when Caleb tells Joshua, I still have the same strength that I had when I was a young man. And then God started telling me about when Joshua told the day to stand still. He said he told the sun to stand still. He told the moon not to move. And God said, Marshall, you didn't even see what I did. I said, no. I said, what did you do? He said, Marshall, the same thing I did with the sky is the same thing I did with Caleb. I told his youth, like the sun, stay steady. Do not move. Look at your neighbor, say, neighbor, I'm going to get what God has for me. I'm going to get the promise that God says I'm supposed to have. I'm going to get the blessing that God says I'm supposed to have. And so the Bible says that Caleb begins to go to war. And when he goes to war, the Bible says that he wins. And then I said, well, God, how do we go to war in the promise? He said the same way you did to get to it. I said, well, what did we do